The enemy scouts reported it first, half-whispered, half-confused. A strange ripple in space. A faint vibration, almost like a heartbeat echoing through the void. Commander Reeland stood at the front of the observation deck, hands behind his back, trying not to show how uneasy he felt. Even the lights seemed dimmer than usual, as if the ship itself sensed something approaching. "Are we sure it's them?" he asked quietly. His second-in-command, a slender officer with tired eyes, nodded. "Every reading matches. Humans, or at least their ships." Reeland exhaled slowly. Humans weren't supposed to be here, not this deep into the war zone, not alone, and definitely not with that kind of signal strength. The bridge crew worked in an odd, nervous silence. The enemy fleet, thousands of ships, waited like hunters expecting a cornered animal. But the strange part was the feeling in the air, like they were being hunted instead. A junior sensor operator swallowed hard. "Sir, the ripple is growing. It looks like a formation, a large one." "Define large," Reeland said. The operator hesitated. "The system is struggling to count. I think it's a full armada, sir." A full human armada? Here? It didn't make sense. Humans were a small power, unpredictable but nowhere near the size of the great empires. And yet, space tore open in a silent flash. One ship appeared, then another, then hundreds more. The entire void lit up with blue thrusters and sharp metallic hulls, like a wall of steel cutting across the stars. Everyone on the enemy command deck fell quiet. Even Reeland didn't blink. The humans arrived without firing, without speaking, without even forming an attack pattern. They just stood there in space, silent, calm, waiting, and somehow that felt more terrifying than any weapon. Reeland had seen many fleets in his life, massive coalitions, terrifying war beasts, armadas built on the bones of conquered worlds. But he had never seen ships like these. Human warships were different. Their designs didn't scream power. They whispered it. Cold, quiet confidence. The kind that came from people who had been tested too many times and learned to stop flinching. A soft murmur spread across the enemy bridge. "They're not moving. They're blocking the escape lane." "No signals yet?" Reeland shook his head. "Nothing." It was maddening. Other species announced themselves with threats or demands. Humans simply arrived and watched, like they were studying something, deciding something. On the main display, the largest human ship drifted forward, slow, steady, flawless in motion. Its surface glowed with faint blue lights, almost rhythmic, like breathing. Reeland couldn't help but lean closer. "What are you planning?" he whispered, not expecting an answer. Beside him, Officer Tyrak muttered, "Sir, morale is dropping. The lower decks are requesting orders. Some are asking to retreat." "Retreat?" Reeland frowned. "We outnumber them 10-1. "Yes," Tyrak replied softly. "But, sir, they're human ships." There was something in his tone. Something Reeland had heard only once before, years ago, on a battlefield where a single human squad held back 3 divisions for half a day. Fear. Not the kind that came from strength. The kind that came from unpredictability. Suddenly, one of the human ships flashed its lights in a simple pattern. 3 short bursts. One long, another short. A human greeting code, ancient, almost ceremonial. Reeland stiffened. "Put it on speakers." The voice that filled the bridge was calm, steady, almost comforting. "This is Admiral Lien Mercer of the Terran Defense Fleet. You have invaded a restricted humanitarian corridor. You have one chance to stand down. Just one chance." The room went dead silent. Even the air felt heavier. No one on the bridge spoke for several seconds. Even breathing seemed like a distraction. Reeland felt his mouth go dry. He expected a threat like the others used, surrender or be destroyed. But the human's message wasn't angry. It wasn't proud. It was tired, like they didn't want to fight, but had already accepted one. Tyrak whispered, "Sir, they're giving us a warning. Humans never give warnings." "I know," Reeland muttered, and that was the part that chilled him. "Open a private line," he ordered. A moment later, a crisp voice answered, "Admiral Mercer here." Reelan tried to keep his voice steady. "Why are you here? This system has no human colonies." Mercer took a breath. Reelan could almost hear her choosing her words. There were 3 refugee convoys in this region. Non-human, lost, unarmed. They called for help. "That's all?" Reelan asked. "Yes," she answered simply. "That's all." Reelan closed his eyes for a moment. Humanity was dangerous. Not because they wanted war, but because they refused to abandon anyone, even strangers. That kind of conviction, it broke empires. "Admiral," Reelan said carefully, "my fleet was not informed of any convoys." "I believe you," she replied, surprising him. "And what happens," Reelan asked, "if we stand down?" "Then no one dies today." Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to, but Tyrak quietly shook his head. "Sir, other commanders won't agree. They'll think it makes us look weak." Weak. Reelan suddenly felt exhausted. What was stronger, firing first or walking away from a meaningless fight? He opened the fleet-wide channel. Every commander, every ship listened. "This is Commander Reelan," he said. "The humans are here for refugees." A distant alarm cut him off. One of the enemy captains had fired a missile at the human flagship. Reelan's stomach dropped. "Oh no," he whispered. Human ships didn't flinch. They simply moved. Not like machines, like predators. The missile streaked across the void like a falling star, bright, arrogant, unstoppable. Or so the firing captain probably thought. Human ships didn't scramble. They didn't form a shield line. They adjusted. A tiny shift in formation, barely a few meters each, and suddenly the missile had no clear target. It slid past the flagship like it had been tricked by a magician. Tyrak gasped. They dodged without even trying. But it wasn't the dodge that terrified Reelan. It was what came after. A soft pulse of blue light rippled across the human armada. Not an attack. A signal. A warning. Admiral Mercer spoke again, voice calm but firm. "We will not fire unless forced. Stand down." The captain who launched the missile ignored her. His ship powered up weapons again. Reelan slammed his fist on the console. "Disable that ship. Now." Too late. A second missile launched. This one headed straight for the human escort line. But the humans responded differently this time. One ship moved. Just one. It drifted forward, almost lazily, placed itself in the missile's path, and fired a single thin beam, almost invisible. The missile vanished. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. Tyrak whispered shakily, "Sir, if they used that on us, we wouldn't even notice we died." Reelan finished. The rogue captain panicked. He began charging every weapon on his ship. Mercer's voice deepened. Not angry, but disappointed. "You leave us no choice." Before Reelan could reply, the human escort ship flashed once. A single blue pulse. The rogue vessel went dark instantly. Every weapon, every engine, every system shut down like someone snuffed out its soul. No noise, no light, just silence. The entire enemy armada froze. Reelan felt the fear spreading like cold water across the void. The humans didn't destroy their enemy. They disabled him. Clean, controlled, surgical. The message was clear. We don't want war, but we end it when we must. The moment the rogue ship went dark, everything shifted. Not physically, emotionally. Across the enemy fleet, officers stared at their screens with wide, frightened eyes. Some whispered prayers to their homeworlds. Others simply froze, as if trying to convince themselves they hadn't just seen an entire warship erased without violence. Tyrak's voice trembled. "Sir, our outer wings are requesting permission to retreat." Reelan understood why. This wasn't a battle anymore. This was a judgment. A junior officer approached him quietly. "Commander, what do we do?" Reelan looked at the humans again. Their armada didn't move forward, didn't threaten, didn't raise weapons. They simply held their formation, silent guardians waiting for the enemy to choose. Reelan walked slowly to the center console and opened the fleet-wide channel. "This is Commander Reelan," he said. "We just saw a ship disabled in less than a heartbeat. The humans could have destroyed him. They didn't. That means something." He paused, letting that truth settle. "We came here expecting easy victory. Instead, we found someone who refuses to let the helpless suffer. They're here for refugees, not war." He took a shaky breath. "We can fight and be remembered as fools, or we can leave and be remembered as survivors." Silence covered the channel. Then, one by one, ships began powering down weapons. A few activated retreat thrusters. Some simply drifted, uncertain but unwilling to continue. Tyrak exhaled deeply. "It's happening. They're collapsing. Not from force, from fear." Reelan nodded. "No, from understanding." Meanwhile, Admiral Mercer's voice returned, softer than before. "Thank you for standing down. Our medical ships are entering the system to locate the convoys. If any of your crew require assistance, we won't refuse them." Reelan blinked. They helped even their enemies? No empire did that. No species even considered it. But humans always did. The battlefield drifted into a strange, peaceful quiet. Human ships began spreading out, scanning the deeper regions of the system. Their movements were precise, almost graceful, as if each ship was guided by instinct, not orders. Reelan watched them in silence. Something inside him shifted. A mix of respect, confusion, and a strange warmth he hadn't felt in years. "Sir," Tyrak said softly, "we've confirmed something. The humans were telling the truth. 3 refugee convoys were hiding near the asteroid belt. Their engines failed." Reelan lowered his head. All this tension and fear, because someone needed help. "Humans crossed a war zone," Tyrak continued. "Risked everything, showed overwhelming strength, just for strangers." Reelan's voice came out quietly. "That's why they're feared." Tyrak frowned. "Because they're strong?" "No," Reelan said. "Because they care." He watched as a human carrier ship extended rescue bays, pulling damaged refugee craft inside like frightened birds returning to a nest. On the human flagship, Admiral Mercer sent one final message. "To all forces present, refugees are secure. We are leaving the system. We hope one day we meet again under better stars." No victory speech, no arrogance, just simple honesty. The enemy fleet, once confident, proud, eager for battle, now floated in shameful silence. Not because they were defeated, but because they were shown what true strength looked like. Reelan turned away from the window, finally understanding the truth humans carried with them. "They win," he murmured, "because they fight only when they must. And when they do, the universe listens." The humans vanished into jump space, leaving only calm starlight behind. And in that calm, every enemy commander knew one thing. The line didn't collapse before the battle started because they feared human weapons. Collapsed because they feared human purpose. Because nothing in the galaxy is more unstoppable than a species that refuses to abandon hope. The end.